Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Mason Sims, and welcome to another edition of our episode. Joining us this evening is Miss Brandy Tarleton. She is actively involved in the Pickens GOP and is also the former candidate who ran against incumbent Neil Collins back in June this past primary. And as you see, I got my black colors out. I'm going to be like Johnny Cash, the man in black. And it's a coincidence, Sandy happened to be wearing black as well. But we were just having a podcast. We weren't going to a funeral or anything. Or like Johnny Cash would say, maybe I am. So we hope you enjoy this episode this evening. And again, this will be our final episode for the 2024 calendar year. So thank you again for watching this evening. Now let's get started. Well, good evening, everybody. And with me today, I had Miss Brandy Tarleton. And Brandy, thank you for joining us this evening.
Oh, absolutely. Pleasure.
Yeah, so first off, just tell us a little about yourself.
I lived in Easley for about 15, 16 years. Something like, I think I moved here in 2010, so 16 years actually. I got married in 2012, and I have two children. They go to McKissick Academy, and they actually go through school choice because they're actually zoned for West End, but I work on the other side of town, so it's a really great school, and I love that they're able to attend there, and they're close to me, so I can be right there. And I'm president of my precinct, Fruit Mountain voting precinct, and I currently, I previously ran for state house for District 5. And as of right now, I'm kind of feeling around for what my next step would be, and just hoping that whatever path I go down, I just want to keep my goal of, I love the Republican platform. After 20, a difficult time for me with the Republican Party, because I actually thought that I wasn't a Republican anymore, because none of the Republicans that were representing me seemed to be reflecting my values. And it wasn't until I actually met some people at Conservative Upstate, and they invited me to a Republican Party meeting, and I held my nose and I went. And I was really glad I did, because I found a party that loves America and loves our freedoms and loves our founding fathers and our history, and actually loves the platform. And the problem is not the Republican platform or the South Carolina Republican platform. It's that the leaders of our state party right now, either they don't believe in the platform or they just don't enforce it. And that's part of the problem that kind of got me into politics, because I've always been interested in politics. I've always followed politics, but I really never thought I was going to delve into any type of activism or running or anything like that until I just saw some of the just crazy, out of control things that happened during COVID that we all remember so vividly and hope that we never forget. And just one of the things that kind of jumped out at me was that they started to close down the businesses. They started to close down the schools and the daycares, and discourage interactions with people that were not direct family members. And they started closing churches. And when they started, basically calling some people's jobs non-essential and trying to make it where only essential people work. My husband actually was working at a furniture store, and he thought he was going to lose his job, so he got a third shift job. And basically, we just didn't see him for a very long time, like almost a year. I think he worked two jobs because he was just concerned that maybe he wouldn't have that job much longer because he wasn't deemed essential. So, I kind of got involved into politics because politics got involved in my life, and we can't ever let that happen again. And that's one of the things that, going forward, whatever my next role will be, it's just going to be to fight for our freedoms and to keep government at bay, and to fight for the Republican platforms that I love so much, which are right to life, religious liberty, private property, personal responsibility, traditional family values, limited constitutional government, state sovereignty, low taxes, strong national defense, and secure borders. Or the right to bear arms. Those are just the bare bones basics. If we fight for those values in South Carolina, and we hold our elected officials, whether that be city, county, state, and national level, then we're going to get in a better place eventually. But, our leadership needs to work with us with that. We need to fight for better leadership on all levels. And that's certainly the path I'm going towards. How I'm going to get there. just may change. I don't know.
Right.
We'll just see what life has to offer and what I can offer it.
Right. I remember mentioning how Republican Party was changing in 2016. That was my first major election that I was able to vote in. I believe I was 18 years old. And I didn't really know the difference between like America First and establishment. And
Yep.
I thought it was going to be another Bush and Clinton ring.
Well, and my mother-in-law was very, like, she was well through it, like Gingrich and then Trump, and then she was all over Trump. And I was like, how can you put everything behind someone you don't know if he's lying to you? And, voted in 2016, I voted for Trump, and, I just, pressed. But, thought he was another politician. And I really was worried when he got in office, like, we were going to get another vote. It was like, and that was in 2016. That was when I was still under the impression that I was interested in politics, kept up with it, but always just assumed that the government was just a big scam. So, I always thought that it wasn't really true election, that it was selections, and I always thought that, that it was just not really real choices. But then when the first 100 days, Trump proved himself. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm all in. I'm like, because this is a man that actually does what he says he's going to do and done so many things that other politicians had said they were going to do, even moving the embassy to Jerusalem and everything. I mean, like, they had said that for years. And all of them could have done those things, and nobody lifted a finger until Trump. And I mean, so many things he did with the lack of wars. And I mean, just helping the economy. It was amazing. That was like the first breath of fresh air I had. But then but think about if we had have had that before we had COVID. I think we would have treated COVID differently because we wouldn't have realized how much free we could have was lost. Never really felt free before then because I really was very suspicious of government before Trump. And I mean, not that I'm less suspicious now, but it's like he verified, like, I always thought that I was, crazy for suspecting the government of doing so wonderful things and various things. And then once he came into office, he just completely pulled back the curtain and showed, oh no, it's all true. And that's when I kind of felt like I wasn't that crazy anymore and realized what we had to fight for. It wasn't lost. So that I think was really a blessing before COVID. And COVID in a way was a blessing to show us, what can't be lost. That's the communities and how hard it is to get back.
Right. And that's one thing too with Trump winning the election in 2016. I feel like it inspired a lot of people, just, everyday people to get.
He wasn't a politician. He was just a businessman. He was just a rich Joe Blow, but kind of like just a normal person. And it showed us that you don't have to be a career politician. You don't have to graduate from Harvard. You don't have to be a lawyer. I mean, really, this is the one country in the world that anybody can run, and anybody, if they're chosen by the electorate, that they can make changes. I mean, Trump really changed everything.
It is, yeah.
It's my life.
Yeah, and even with this last term coming, I feel like it's still have to keep pressing on like it has in our study.
And that is something I am a little concerned about because I've heard a lot of like victory, like, oh yeah, we did it. No, we're doing it. Like, we can't stop. Like the momentum was building for Trump, and it's such a big push. And I mean, he won the landslide, and I'm just worried that those same people that are so fed up with the government to get him elected are like, okay, job's done. All right, like, we can go home now. No, because he needs us at the state level to help him because there's so many swamp creatures, like Lindsey Graham, for instance, there's one that needs our help. I mean, Lindsey, he's over there just chirping in his ear, and he's not on Trump's side. He's not on our side, and we're going to get rid of him. So at the state level, I mean, we cannot lose momentum. I mean, it's not time to take a break. And actually, I posted a Wall Builders podcast in the chat. I think it was this last week. Yeah, it was this week. It was really good because that whole message you're just talking about, no, it's not time to rest. It's time to go, go, go. Don't give the devil an inch. Like, just keep going with it. And that was a great message.
Right. Now, when people hear America First too, feel like they think there's no way to compromise either. They're like, forgot the other one from Colorado.
Bobar. Lord Bobar.
Yes. I'm also that way, but not everyone's like that. That's
well
first.
And the thing is, too, sometimes you've got to have the people out there being loud and being vocal about the issues and being called crazy even sometimes.
Right.
Because a lot of the things that they've said and done have been, sounding crazy even to me sometimes. I'm like, whoa, you need to roll that back a little bit. But then you find out, like, oh my gosh, this is really something we need to look at. And they do compromise because they have had folks that I completely disagreed with. So no, I definitely think that America First, as loud and vocal as some of them might be, we really we're empathetic and we do listen to both sides of the argument, and we look at facts and data, not science, but facts and data. And, we don't just trust the experts. We trust common sense and rationale and the people and their voice. America First, I think, is the party of reason.
Right. I'm glad people like Mitt Romney saw him see it and he finally admitted and said, yeah, Trump is the change we needed in the party. There was something along those lines.
Yeah, I question why. Just
Possibly just to maybe get on his good side.
But yeah, you know what? It's a win. Let's let's not ask why. It's a win.
Oh, yes. So you kind of mentioned like you're still working on your next project or goal after the election. You thought so state legislature, is that another possibility for the next cycle?
See, my thing is, I'm always interested in finding candidates. So one of the reasons that I decided to run is I asked a lot of people to run, and there didn't seem to be any candidates. I mean, trying to pull from a pool of candidates of people that I've worked with that I knew would really be a good conservative legislator. Nobody in the pool seemed interested. So people started asking, well, why are you asking me? Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? So, I mean, I decided I wouldn't say I wanted to, but I mean, I'll do anything. So, I mean, I'm willing to try it. So I ran, and I don't know God's purpose of necessarily me running specifically, but I do know that through that journey, I did meet a lot of really amazing people that are going to help us with our goals as a party. So even if I don't end up being a legislator, I met so many amazing people through that process that it was not a loss. I mean, I may not have won the seat per se, but I definitely did not lose because I met so many incredible people. And, and, the next step in the party, there's been talk here and there about, running for a chair position. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out because I need to talk to both sides and just try to figure out what the best strategy for all of us is going to be. Because the one thing that we don't want to do is make it appear that we're splitting the party in two, and that is definitely not what we need. However, we may decide that two slates is okay. I don't really like slates per se, but we might decide that more than one candidate is okay because it's choices. Because like some of the things that I've heard from people, people that did vote for the current administration at Pickens County and people that didn't, was that they just didn't feel like they had choice. Because they kind of came in, they said, okay, these people are that people. And I think it's good to have choices because I think we're going towards the same goal, just maybe different ways to reach that goal. And I mean, I think choice is a good thing. But at the end of the day, whoever wins has got to work with the other person.
Right.
That's the only thing. We cannot move separately. We've got to move together because we've got one centralized goal, and me and you both know what that is. And we got to meet that goal. Otherwise, South Carolina is never going to get any better.
Yeah, and I'm so tired of all the petty drama too.
Yes,
It's been a big turnoff.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody's got opinions. That's great. That's wonderful. But we really have to lift each other up. I mean, that's what even as Christians we're called to do. And it's one thing if someone has made a decision supporting a bad bill or something like that. Accountability is needed. That's absolutely necessary. But at the same time, I mean, we all have opinions, and it's okay to have different opinions, but we've got to lift each other up while at the same time call each other out. If we do go against our platform, we've got to remain unified, or the deep state will defeat us every time. Every single time. That's what they want.
Yeah, just conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're opponents.
And just making us chase rabbits so that we can't actually chase real problems and tackle them.
Right. And so your campaign back in for the election in June, is there anything that you would have done differently?
Well, one of the things I kind of waited to do out of respect, kind of, is I didn't start canvassing. I mean, really canvassing, I think, was the biggest advantage to me. A lot of people say that it was mailers, different things like that. But I think that as a woman, I have a slight disadvantage because even me personally, I'm not a huge fan of women politicians, especially for executive office. I don't agree with women in executive positions like president, governor, and things like that. I just think that really is more suited for a man based on biblical principles. But I'm a house, so I was like, okay, legislators maybe a little bit okay, but I did have a little bit of disability, I think, because of that. And I think the best way to defeat that was to actually talk to people. So they really, what held me back was I waited to canvass until I actually filed out of respect. Really, I didn't want to be going to door like I'm going to be, I would say, I'm a candidate. So I wanted, I guess, to be respectful to people that, I'm serious. I'm not just playing, I'm not just thinking of it, make them think that I'm not serious. So I think I should start canvassing a lot earlier though, because I had 4,000 people, the voters that I needed to reach to get my 10% um of the electric base. So I didn't get to I'm not going to back that door. I knocked about 2,000 doors. So I really wish I could have knocked on more doors. And I think that held me back probably more than anything else because, I've been told, oh, you didn't raise a lot of money and different things. And I can see, I get that side of the argument. But at the same time, I really fight with that because I am fiscal conservative. And it hurts my heart to think, had I raised way more money than I did and spent all of that on advertisement, mail, and different things like that, instead of, for meeting people face to face, then how does that serve my cause of fiscal conservatism? So next time, I know I'm going to have to raise a little bit more money, but it's hard for me to ask for money from people when I see Joe Biden's economy and I see how bad they're running now. And I need to live out the fiscal conservative platform, think through that campaign budget as well. And I have respect for the people that do as well. Because when I see people just blow through a lot of money, Kamala Harris, it concerns me. Because if you're going to do that with people's donated money that's given to you, what are you going to do with people's money that's given to the government? So that's, about two things. Like, I should have canvassed earlier and needed to raise more money, but that needs to be balanced, the money raised.
Right. And also, so what are your thoughts on being associated with the team easily considering of all the controversy? And how do you think that affected your campaign in that election?
What team easily?
Team easily with like Neil Garrett, Nate Stage, and Lisa Taylor.
Well, I wasn't really associated. Well, Lisa, actually, I didn't really even speak to her like pretty much at all. I just seemed to kind of the city council meetings and just I was trying to just stay informed with that and county council. It was very difficult, balancing that with campaigning and everything. But Denise, she did help me here and there because she just kind of helped other people with their campaign, so it definitely helped. But she's got a lot of negative light onto her that may or may not be cleared up soon. And I think that the same thing that happened to Trump is happening to her. There's like lawfare, and she was tried in the court of public opinion and proven guilty. When there's no there's pending was not even lawsuit or anything, but there's pending things that she's dealing with that people don't know the facts. I don't know. I didn't ask. It's just one of those things that I'm not even a city resident, and she doesn't represent me, but she's just someone that offered to help, and I gladly, I'll accept her help. Neil Garrett, he helped a little bit. He helped with getting some signage put out, but that was pretty much the extent of his help. But yeah, I think it negatively affected me. Certainly Neil, the typical voter, didn't know who he was. But I will say, my opponent tried to rope me into a lot of stuff with Denise, and it was things that, like, Denise would go here, I wasn't even. Denise would go here, I wasn't even there. But he would somehow try to tie me back in there, and I was like, I wasn't even there. I didn't tell her to go. It's like I didn't even know what. So some of that was drama, but I don't know that it necessarily affected me. Maybe, maybe it did, but I try not to.
Yeah.
I try not to let it affect me.
Especially that instance getting middle school.
Yeah, like the whole thing.
I had nothing to do with that. I was entitled.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's like, the only part of that I knew anything about was I had heard about the event on Facebook. But that was the extent. I didn't know anything other than when a video came out. And it was like,
yeah, I was like one person they tagged like needs, Dale, Scott, Lane, you, and there's maybe one other person. Thinking a lot of those people probably didn't even help us enough.
I don't know. And I expected things like that, honestly, for the attacks that I got during my campaign. I mean, I prayed hard that God would give me the strength to deal with it because I don't necessarily care what the world thinks of me in some ways, but in some ways I do for my children. And I knew that there was nothing that they could say about me that would pretty much affect me. But I was just worried that they might go really low and start saying things and doing things and lawfare or whatever. I mean, I was really concerned that they would start doing really crazy things. I really feel like God protected me from a lot because from what they did, I mean, it was almost laughable. The attacks that they put on, and it was almost laughable. So at least I was spared, my worst nightmares.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy to see local stuff, how the attacks can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other thing is, for reorg in March next year, you said that you are running for vice chair.
No, we need to talk because I have been asked about Josh Waters and Andrew Mullinax. I don't know who else was on that ticket, but I asked Rick. He called me. He asked me to call him yesterday, and I think we're going to get together. We're going to talk because we need to do whatever decision we needs to be best for. So Rick had talked about combining the ticket. I don't necessarily think that's necessary, but um, but Josh and I haven't understand it, but Josh is willing to meet with us just to talk because the other thing too is Rick hasn't met Josh, Josh hasn't met Rick. They don't really know each other, and I think that would be helpful. So I've been asked if I would be willing to run, and I am willing, but I think we need to meet because whatever decision I make, I'm going to make for the best of the party, whatever that might be. So we need to meet. Iron those details out.
Right. And you're aware too, right? So they say do when specifically run for vice chair and you decide to run for state legislature, you have to resign.
Yes, and that's another reason why I'm carefully weighing my options. Because number one, if I did run for vice chair and then decided to run for legislator later, then I would have to resign and there would be a vacancy and I would have procedures how they would fill that. But that's something that I really want to be as upfront as I can to the voters at reorg without telling them I'm definitely going to run because I don't know yet. But I need to at least let them know that that's a possibility and what their options are going to be. Because I don't want, if that were to happen, then I would have to resign to run. That party would fall into disarray. That's the one thing I'm worried about. And that's the one thing that I do not want to happen. So that's something that would be really good for that meeting for us to lay out, okay, if this and this and this happens, what's going to happen? And just make sure all of our bases are covered. Because, I don't know if I'm going to run. The part about the vice chair, though, something that even if I don't run, still want to be very, very active with like youth recruitment, hunting recruitment. Have several different things that I'm kind of working on right now with the party that I want to continue. So even if I'm not in a chair position, they would need to make a committee for me because I got a lot of stuff I gotta do.
Right. And other thing is that there's something that Rick was telling me that was fair advantage that Rick's running for. Yeah, he's running for chair and he's part of the membership committee. That was not a fair advantage. And one question was, how is it different for you running a leadership position to be running over the reorganization of the county?
I said, oh, so when it comes to something like that, that just needs to be transparent with the voters, and I think the voters should be able to decide. So, I mean, I can understand how it can seem that way, but I think at the end of the day, as long as you're honest about it and forthcoming and they know that you were involved. Now, my part of the reorg, though, the only thing that I'm really doing is right now they found the buildings. So we're going to be doing Liberty High and the Liberty Performing Arts Center. And coming up to it, the only thing I'm doing is, I guess, the nuts and bolts. I don't even know who is going to be deciding on who's counting and things like that. I won't be involved in that. I'll only be involved in just the structure of the day, just the movement. And I think you helped out the last one. The last time I helped out with when you came in, just checking them in. But this time, I don't think I'm going to be doing any of that. It's only going to be just planning the day. So I'm only going to be involved limited per se with what actually we haven't even discussed what's going to happen at county reorg. But now, as far as I know, it's just like the setup of the day, and the flow. So,
Sounds great. So while you're on there, is there anything that you'd like to make your mistakes about others that are doing this?
I just want to mention that so far for the state level, for instance, state level, they pre-filed bills, and it's always a great time to go look at pre-filed bills because you'll know kind of their agenda going into the next 2 years. And I've already found one church's bill that basically suggested that we do away with partisan elections except for vice president and president. So basically, U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, governor, county council, city sheriff, state house, they're all going to be, according to this bill, if it passes, they would be nonpartisan. And there was also some language to do with ranked choice voting. Basically, the two nonpartisan candidates that win the most votes would advance to the general election, and that's terrifying. Because then that also, with it being nonpartisan, it would remove the party altogether. Because right now, when I ran it, before McKinley, I guess you had to get signed off by the county chair, and then you filed with the elections office. But when I was filed with the elections office, I just signed the paperwork that I was supporting the party and then submitted it, and then it went to Bob. So there was no pre-vetting, which I think is very scary. Because anybody can run as anybody, and I don't know if the Pickens County chair even had the ability to deny someone running on the ticket. I don't know, maybe he did. But with the bill that I found in this pre-file bills, it would actually remove the party altogether to where there would be no challenge. So you would run as a nonpartisan, you could claim that you're a Republican, and there's no way to vet you or challenge that. And that's terrifying. Because that means you can run for it. I mean, you think open primaries bad? Nonpartisan would just, make open primaries look like wonderful.
Yeah.
So, take a look at the pre-filed bills because it really does give you the agenda of what they're looking at for the next 2 years. And I've seen some very scary ones. And definitely get connected with your local precinct. Get involved because you're going to meet a lot of really great patriots and you're going to learn a lot really fast. And if you don't know what a precinct is, don't feel bad. I didn't either a few years ago. But you'll meet a lot of great people and you'll really catch on really fast. It doesn't take long. And you'll meet your local representatives, you'll meet the state, city, and they're your neighbors. They're right down the street from you that come to these meetings, and you get to ask them the questions that normally you have to wait for the news reporter to ask or things like that. And they never ask questions that you really want to know. So come to these meetings because we invite the elected officials to come to the meetings so that we can ask them, the questions that we really are important to us. And just don't forget reorg coming up because we need you at reorg.
All right. Well, sounds great. Brandy, it was good to see you again.
Look,
Thank you. All right. We're clear. And that concludes our show for this evening. Again, if you have not followed us already, feel free to click, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for further updates. And also follow our Facebook page as well. I hope that everyone has a happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and safe travels if you plan to go anywhere. Also wanted to say, too, that this will be our last episode for the 2024 calendar year. And feel free also to have any suggestions, too, in the comment section of what you would like to see or questions that you would like to be answered in our upcoming episodes. And I just wanted to say, too, that as you know, you've seen there's a variety of guests I have on here. It's not just Republican. It could be Democrat, Republican, nonpartisan. One thing that I do hope for our nation in the future is to come together. Because honestly, from what I've seen within both parties, we have a lot more in common than we think. And that's one goal I'm going to have on here is trying to be as fair as possible to all of my guests, regardless of who you are. And just I would like for us to get to that point where we're unified. Because, as you know, you have to negotiate things in life. You won't always get what you want. So it's good to work well with others and make sure that you always be fair and be willing to compromise. So again, my name is Mason Sims. Thank you all for watching. Good night to all. God bless America. And Merry Christmas to all. And to all, good night. Thank you for watching, and take care.